All right, good morning, everybody. This is going to be part two for our spring break review, and this will wrap up everything for our review, and then we'll start fresh with 12-2 after we've completed our review. So what I'm going to do here is go in and I'm going to cover number one and number seven. And what I've done is I've put a chart up here for you guys in order to reference when we're doing and solving these triangles. So taking a look at number one, the first thing that would make life easier is figuring out what this missing angle is right here. And we know that the inside of a triangle, all the angles add up to 180. So what we can do is take 180 and just subtract what we have. We have a 90-degree angle, so we'll subtract 90 and we'll subtract 38. And when we are left with is 52 degrees. So I know now that this angle is 52 degrees. And what that'll do is it'll make it easier for us to figure out if we're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. So with that being said, what they want us to do is find this side right here where x is. And the reason that we're going to be using sine, cosine, and tangent is because if we use the Pythagorean theorem, it'd be a challenge because we don't know what the hypotenuse is. All right. And because 38 degrees has a missing hypotenuse and it's missing adjacent side, we're going to target the 52 degrees. So if I target 52, we can say here that 10 is the adjacent side. So 10 is adjacent to 52 degrees. And because x is across from 52, that's going to become our opposite side. All right, so what we can do here is look at what we have. We have adjacent and opposite, but we don't know what the opposite side is. So what we want to do is we want to get either sine, cosine, or tangent, and we want to pick the one with opposite side and adjacent side. And if we look at tangent right here, we've got opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to rewrite this as the tangent of 52 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. And I have my opposite as x. And I know that my adjacent is 10. All right, so now that I have that worked out, what I'm going to do is a little bit of algebra here. And I know when I have a fraction and I want to get rid of that denominator, I just multiply both sides by the denominator. So if I multiply both sides by the denominator, I'm going to get 10 times the tangent of 52 equals x. All right, so I rewrote this equation right here by multiplying 10 on both sides. So the calculator at this point is going to be your best friend because inside my calculator, I'm going to put exactly what is here in the parentheses. I'm going to type in 10 times, you're going to hit the tangent button, and then 52. And when you type all that into your calculator, you're going to get 12.8. And that equals x. Now you might have some extra numbers here, so what I did, I just rounded up to the nearest tenth, and that's what our directions were saying, was round to the nearest tenth. So I figured out that x equals 12.8. And that problem solving process is what you're going to use to figure out 2 and 3. All right, now if we look down at number 7, they want us to find an angle this time. Now we could do what we did up here and subtract everything from 180, but we don't know what this angle is right here. So what we're going to do is let's label a few things. So x is the angle we're looking at. That means that this side right here, this leg of this triangle, is opposite. All right. 7 is my hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. All right. And that means that 4 then is going to be my adjacent side. And I have 4 as my adjacent side, and I have 7 as my hypotenuse. So when we're looking at the angle and trying to figure out what the angle is, we're going to use the 2 values that we have. All right, and what I want to do is look at my 3 different functions right here that contains the hypotenuse and the adjacent side. And if I look over here, the cosine function has adjacent over hypotenuse. Those are the main 3 we're always going to look at. So if I have adjacent over hypotenuse right here, that's telling me that cosine is the function I want to use. So I'm going to set up my equation like so. I'm going to say the cosine of angle x, that's what we don't know, equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And they give us that. Adjacent is 4 and hypotenuse is 7. All right, now this is going to be similar to this where we moved that denominator to the other side by multiplying. This time we're going to move the function over. So if we move the function over to the other side, we're going to get this. We're going to have x equals, and when cosine goes to the other side, we rewrite cosine as this. Cosine to the -1. Because we're moving it, and there's a button on your calculator, if you look above cosine, that says cosine -1. And then we're going to keep that fraction there. Cosine -1, 4/7. And this is what's going to go in your calculator right here, word for word. So if you go in your calculator and we type in cosine -1, which is the second and then cosine button, because if you look above cosine, it says cosine -1. And then we're just going to type in that fraction, 4 divided by 7. And when we do that, we get 55.15. And if we look what we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So that's going to round up to 55.2. And that is our missing angle right there. So remember, your calculator is going to be your best friend when we get to that last step. You're just going to do a little bit of problem solving and moving certain numbers or moving a function to the other side. So remember, for 1 through 3, we're not going to be using the negative exponent. We're just going to be moving that denominator to the other side and multiplying everything in our calculator. Now, when you get ready to do 8 and 9, that's when we're going to move our cosine function over to the other side, or our sine or our tangent, whatever you see here. So if you look at number 8, you're going to be looking to solve for that angle x. And the same thing with number 9. You're going to be looking to solve for angle x also. And there's a good example up here at the top of your review if you're not sure, or if these video notes weren't as helpful. And always, you can feel free to message me or email me, and we can work on those. So the last part of your review, you're going to be solving numbers 2, 3, 8, and 9. Again, if you have any questions, email me or message me.